What's up, everybody? I'm Reynaldo Piniella, and welcome to the Reparations Show.
Don't want no spare change or handout. I see that everywhere I go. Want you to reach right in your conscience, baby, and give me everything I'm owed. I'm talking about them reparations, reparations. Oh, honey, give me all my money. Reparations, reparations. Give me everything you owe. Reparations. Reparations for all them years of frustrations. This is the freaking Reparations Show.
Yo, what's up, everybody? So first, I want to thank you all because you showed up. It's Friday night. Mandalorian Season 2 came out. You could be watching Baby Yoda right now, but you're here with me. Ariana Grande got a new album, but you're listening to me. So you can see from my shirt that I got the election on my mind. The election's in a few days, and if you're like me, you're stressed out. You got a drink in your hand, and you're wondering what's going to happen to our country. I don't have the answers. I'm sorry to disappoint you if you thought you were going to show up and get some answers from me tonight. But I do have three people who may have some answers for you. Because what I do have as an artist in New York City, oh, you see, I'm already spilling my drink. That's how excited I am. I have an amazing community, right? And the three people who I have with me tonight are solo performers, are activists, run educational programs. They're doing the work so that after the election, going forward, we can help create the world that we all want to see. So I feel like you've seen enough of me talking. I want to have a little bit of my drink. So I'm going to introduce my very first guest, who is none other than the man, the myth, the legend, Daniel J. Watts. Now, you may be like, Daniel J. Watts, I know that name. Well, Daniel, he's on Broadway in the Tina Turner musical. He's in this little show called Hamilton, Once Upon a Time. He was on The Last OG with Tracy Morgan. And if you like theater, you should stream The Death of the Last Black Man in the Whole Entire World, aka the Negro Book of the Dead, on Signature Theater Company's website right now, because he stars in that alongside a certain light-skinned black man in a Biden-Harris shirt. But enough of me. Let's introduce this first video of Daniel J. Watts.
Hey, everybody. I'm going to do the final piece. So if you come to the jam, January 6th, 10th, 12th, and 20th at Joe's Pub, this is where we get to. And it's kind of like after I've looked back, looking in the rearview mirror to see like where I've come through. And I sat down with the universe. It said, "You first, Daniel, what have you learned?" I said, "Truth can set you free, but truth hurts when you shirk your destiny." And then the universe gave a wink and said, "Don't just make them laugh, Daniel. Make them think. They may want to hide, but you can help them look inside. You took a dive off a cliff, but notice this, you survived." And then the universe stood me up and said, "God is always inside you. Stop looking up. Focus only on the things you've got cooking up. No second guessing, no questions. Know that you are good enough." And that shook me up because I didn't know I needed it. Thought I had been defeating my demon, but I was feeding it. Thought I had been doing the work, but when I looked in my earth, I had no seed in it. My treason was that I didn't have my trees in. Focused on the lifetime when I had missed the season. Focused on the summertime when I had missed the reason. Focused on the shoes to fill instead of the ones my feet were in. All my fear was in keeping up appearances. Apparently, I needed to be keeping up my pyramids. I'm peering into tomorrow, living in the moment, letting go of the sorrow because I got no need to hold it. You know what? The universe said to me to leave the pain behind, focus on what's ahead of me. That word was bread to me. I'm spreading on my legacy. Every word I said this eve is thoroughbred and pedigree. This star and train is part constellation, less celebrity. But I'ma celebrate. When times are tough, I'ma meditate. I'm heavy-handed for a featherweight. Bye to that other guy. I opted out of feathers. I'm rocking wings of a butterfly. Never wore a metaphor better before I metamorphosed. My name is Daniel J. Watts. This message, I support this. Make sure you go vote. I went from attaboy to an adult. No longer a caterpillar, a pillar of a man. Now watch me catapult. I'm focused on what matters more. Dog, I'm in the pool like a Labrador. Dodging all the bull, I'm a matador. Master of my fate, I'm the captain of my soul. I sparked this flame when darkness came. I'm about to glow, getting mine. Hitting till quitting time, and this marathon that I'm on will not enter the finish line. I'm setting my pace, gritting my teeth, grit on my face, leaning into the wind, giving praise. I was gifted with grace. I have everything I need. I let the rest weed out. No weapon can harm me. God won't let me bleed out. I'm working this reroute, working my dreams out, bursting at the seams. It seems I'm working my wings out, and I'm going to go forward. I'm going to take steps. Life is improvisation. Just say yes. Stay faithful. Be encouraged for the faithless. Be grateful. That's how you stay blessed. Like, hey, I'll take a woo. Thank you.
Yes. Oh snap. Oh snap. Damn, I need an autograph right now, Daniel. What's up,
You're
man?
crazy. What's up, bro?
Man, I'm chilling, bro. How you been, man? What's new with you these days?
Cool, man. You know, we out here. You know, I saw you. Good plug. Good job. Last Black Man. Good job. Let's keep doing that. I was with you a couple of days ago. You know, it's readings. It's reading season. It's, you know, it's Zoom life. It's figuring this out. Been writing, been painting. I've kind of just been digging into like just being an artist right now because I have time to just be an artist. I don't have to be anywhere. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were like, you know, I'm a solo performer, I'm an actor, I'm a singer, I'm a dancer. Yeah, let me just get this painting on. I'm a little Basquiat out here.
Man, it kind of like I needed it because it kind of gave me peace. Like in all the hoopla, like towards the end of the summer, I was like, I need to go home. So I went to North Carolina first. I went home for like 3 weeks, and I went to LA just to see what was happening out there. Nothing. And then I went to Portland and just like chilled out with the green. And then when I got back, actually it was in Portland, I was like, I think I want to paint, but like I want to paint with my feet. So like I started like tap dance painting. It's weird. And I put on a pair of Keds, a pair of sneakers. My homeboy was doing Vans. My homeboy was doing a promotional thing with Vans out in Portland when I was there. He was like, it's a longer story. My suitcase got disappeared. When I got to Portland, my suitcase wasn't there. My tap shoes are in my suitcase, amongst other things. Anyway, like, I don't have my shoes. And he was like, here, just put these Vans on. And then I kind of just started like dancing and paint. So like I got back home and the bug just kept biting me. So that's what I've been doing to keep sane.
Yeah, so your downstairs neighbors must hate you. You doing all that damn stomping.
Pissed. They're pissed.
Well, you know I got to put you on blast, man, because I gave you that introduction. And you know I admitted one thing. You know, Daniel J. Watts, if you don't know, is a 2020 nominee for the Tony Awards. Give it up for my boy.
Hey, I'm gonna hit you with one of those.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man.
Thank you, brother.
How does that feel, man? You know what I mean? Because like, I feel like before you even jump in, I feel like I need to give the audience some context because me and you, we met 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Death of the Last Black Man at Signature, right? And it feels like a pivotal point in both of our lives, right?
Sure.
Because you were coming off Hamilton, right? You were this Broadway dancer. You were in the ensemble a lot, and you were like, you know what? I want a career where I'm going to be challenged artistically, where I'm the person whose voice is the loudest in the room. And that show is your very first lead.
Yep.
And for me, it was my very first show off Broadway. And it felt like, yeah. You know, and like,
oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's amazing to me about you is you're like the perfect representation of the power of manifesting your dreams, of truly saying, I want this thing, I'm putting it out in the world, and I don't know what the path or journey has in store for me, but I'm going to trust the universe and a higher power to get me there. So like, where did you get that from in the first place?
Ooh, I was kind of like at that point, I recognized that I was on a hamster wheel that I needed to get off of. I was like, or I needed to just accept it for what it was, which was, you know, blessed and lucky and you know, thankful enough that I could find my way back to a Broadway show. But I would be in a Broadway show sometimes and be like, I don't really want to be doing this show. I want, like you say, I want to be challenged. I want to do something. And I would leave the show and to do something, whatever. And then my bank account would be like, what you doing, bro? And I'd be like, yeah, you're right. And then I would thankfully find my way back into a Broadway show. But it was like I either need to be fine with this pattern, which I wasn't, or I need to have faith that the thing that I want will happen if I just keep going in this direction. So it was kind of like, I just kept going. You know, I moved to LA for 4 months, and like while I was gone, like New York was like, I'm sorry about what I said when I was hungry. Come on back. You know, and it was, and then when I was in LA, my friend was like, why are you here? Like, do you know why you're really here? And I was like, damn, I think I'm trying to make New York jealous, and I want New York to treat me the way I want to be treated. And that was the conversation we had, like taking a hike together. And like, It took me learning how to say no to things that I would normally say yes, either for fear or, you know, worrying about what somebody else is think because I said no, you know. And I started just taking more chances for myself, and they just kept opening up.
Word. Because what's so amazing, I feel like when I was researching you and looking at your IMDb, is like every project you do has a social consciousness to it, right? I think of Lights Up, the Tina Turner musical. Like, how conscious are you about even the projects you go in for? Or is it just like happenstance that it works out that way?
It's a little bit of both, you know, like even, you know, you understand this. It's at a certain point, I realized that a lot of things I was being called in for required me to wear a jumpsuit in the scene, you know.
Right.
And I just that ain't even me. And the more that you allow people to tell you who you are, you know, God, I wish I knew the name of this woman who said this. She was like, the industry thrives off of us not knowing who we are. And I think even with Chadwick, you know, just Chadwick gave us a really, really strong lesson in like knowing who you are, you know, knowing who you are and putting yourself in position to do the roles that you want to do. And there's nothing wrong. I don't think there's anything wrong with being in a jumpsuit. It's just after 7 jumpsuits, you know, there's only or being an ex-con or on your way into being a con. So I kind of try. And once I knew who I was and chose to be who I am, you know, that is who I am. I am, you know, I am a relatively, you know, they're much more conscious people than I am, but I like to, you know, do things that challenge and push and talk about something, you know, that's just who I am as an individual. I found out when I was doing The Little Mermaid back in 2007, it was then that I started to realize like, oh, I was happy for doing it, you know, but I was like, this isn't the kind of work that feeds me. You know, I'm fed by things that actually have a little bit more social commentary, things that have a little bit more depth. And it was honestly, The Little Mermaid itself at that time was making a very political statement by having Norm Lewis, who was a black man, as Triton, and having Sierra, who was white, as the daughters. And we had a multicultural, you know, it was very, very, does that word diverse? Very diverse cast. That honestly I would say we had an equal cast in many ways, you know. And yeah, but even still, just the context of the show was a little bit light for me, and I wanted just a little bit more.
Yeah. Because like even in that video we showed, we see the power of words and how important that is to you. Like one of the last shows I saw before the shutdown was your solo show at Joe's Pub, The Jam. If you guys don't know, Daniel J. Watts has a solo show called The Jam, directed by Liliana Blaine Cruz, our director from The Death of the Last Black Man. And also on stage is DJ Duggs, who's, you know, ripping some killer tunes. But like that story so affected me because I'm also a black man that has dealt with mental health issues, dealt with depression, dealt with alcoholism, all the things you're diving into. So like, what role does like vulnerability in your solo work play? And like, what was that journey like to like expose yourself on stage in that way?
Yeah, man, like I wouldn't have gotten to that show had I not gone to therapy. Right. It was crazy. I started therapy during Death of the Last Black Man. Like that was a whole like death. There was a death of Daniel J. Watts even doing that show. Like there was a breaking down process that happened to me. And I remember being in tech and I looked at a mirror, right? And I was like, I can't wait till we open so I can go to therapy. And she was like, wait, what? And I was like, I need to go to therapy. And she was like, okay, word, that's what's up. And I was like, I don't know. She was like, wow. I was like, I actually don't know. I just know I can't do it by myself anymore. And I realized, you know, I'm telling 2 stories simultaneously. It's like, I can't tell the story about getting to that jam without telling the story about going to therapy. And I realized that in therapy, that I didn't see a lot of what I needed, which was black men being vulnerable in a way. Like there are just so many things we just don't talk about. The community doesn't talk about. And I was like, well, and was the other side of it is that a friend reached out to me and was like, hey, yo, man, what's going on with the jam? And I was like, I don't know. nothing right now. I'm just gonna put it on the shelf. And he was like, yo, bro, like you can't do that. Like he called me 2 weeks later and was like, you can't do that. And I was like, I can't do what? He's like, you can't not do the jam. And I was like, well, all the guys I normally do the jam with, like it was normally like a 5-piece, 6-piece band situation, you know. And I was like, everybody's like scattered to the winds, you know, nobody's here. And he was like, okay. I was like, well, I have to do it by myself. He was like, okay. I was like, yeah, well, you know, I don't really have anything to say right now, you know. And he was like, what do you do? And I had been in therapy for like 6 months at that point. And I was like, all the stuff that I had been learning in therapy was like just right here, like trying to get out. And I was like, that's when I started working on Only Child. I was like, I have to talk about this stuff because I know I'm not the only one. I know I'm not the only one. Whether it comes to abortion, you know, what men would deal with on the side of abortion, we never really talk about. Alcoholism, potential child molestation, you know, just all kinds of things. We just don't talk about it because we're supposed to keep on this hard exterior of, you know, that's what we're told we're supposed to do. So it was exhausting. Honestly, I was exhausted by the front.
No, it's real, man. Because the night I was there, your therapist was in the audience, you know, and that is like so real to me because I've been going to therapy. I started probably like 4 months after we did Last Black Man because I was in this place where like I was so unfulfilled. Like all I had wanted was to like be doing plays off Broadway and be working with these amazing artists. And I got that, you know, I was living my dream, what I thought was my dream, and it wasn't enough, you know? And I was like, there's something in me that I'm not tapping into, that I'm suppressing with all these other things, you know? And like the process has been going on for 4 years now. And like, I feel like I'm finally scratching the surface, you know? And like, I'm having these honest conversations with my parents, with my family, and it's hard, man. It doesn't get easier. And it leads me into the theme of this episode, which is, man, I always say this word wrong, but it's artivism. Is that how you say it? I'm probably not even saying it right. It's like
artivism, activist, art. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I say it right, right?
Yeah,
I don't know. Exactly. Right. You know, and like for me, it's how we can be activists through our work. And I feel like you have been doing that. I see you guys can see that the chat, they are correcting my pronunciation. It's all good. We figured it out. Thank you everybody for bearing with me as I try to work through my own stuff right now. But you know, I feel like your work, your solo work in particular, right? You're an activist for Black people, for Black men, for our humanity, for our vulnerability, for empowerment, you know, for showing us that like all the change we want to make, we already have that power. It's just a matter of recognizing that, harnessing it, and using it to better our communities, better our society, be there for our sisters, our people in our trans communities. So like talk about that, of like some people looking at you as a leader, someone like with a voice. What does that feel like?
Man, it's equal parts terrifying. And, you know, because you want to get it right.
Right.
You know, and that was what my lesson was, is like being okay when I got it wrong and just learning from that, because I'm going to let some people down. It's just, it is what it is. You know, like once I learned that, I was a lot better. I was more comfortable holding that title that you just gave me. Yeah, you know, because it's just like, it's a lot of like showing up for yourself first, you know, securing your oxygen mask before you secure somebody else's.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of my heroes, like when I look at them, like Sammy Davis Jr., James Baldwin, I'm even gonna throw Ike Turner in there just because I know him better now. You know, but I know what his contribution was as far as the art is concerned. Jean-Michel Basquiat, Saul Williams. I won't say Saul Williams because he's still alive. Fats Waller. You know, a lot of these cats that I really look up to, they had their thing. They had the art. They did not have therapy. Like, it was like, what happens is literally what you just said. Like, when the art isn't enough, what do you do? What we're taught is that we take this pain and then we channel it and we alchemize it, you know, and we turn it into this other thing. But there's still this other part of you that still hasn't been fulfilled, healed, because it's really about healing, you know. Right. And once I had to learn about that, because I was so used to playing hurt, you know, doing you never operate on 100%. It's like, you know, I'm ensemble. You know, you do it hurt. The show must go on. you know, and I had to learn, like, nah, like the show will go on, even if you aren't there. Like, sit down. You got a jacked up ankle, you need to sit down, take a break, you know.
Right.
You need to heal so you can operate at a better position, as opposed to trying to just keep working, going through at your little 50% ankle, which will eventually turn into a 40% ankle, which will eventually, when it does heal, it won't heal whole, and you'll always and forever be on that 30% ankle.
Yep.
I don't want to do that. So yeah, man, it became, I recognize that I'm charged with responsibility that came before me and the people before them.
Right. Because yesterday I was lucky enough to go to the African American Museum in DC, right?
Oh, yesterday?
Yeah. Yesterday was my birthday.
Man. Oh. Happy birthday. Oh, you told us 2 days ago that your birthday.
I did. I was like, hey, y'all. I was trying to set myself up for some birthday texts. I was like,
happy birthday. Yo. I'm glad that you did that. Did you go and come back? Are you back in New York?
Yeah. I went real quick.
Man. Tell me, I've been already. So what did you?
Oh, you did? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I mean, because all these people were like, man, it's going to change your life. And I was so skeptical. I was like, how is one museum really going to like open up my view of the world? And honestly, it truly did, man. Like, it was so profound to see how our ancestors persevered, found joy, found ways to get things done when they didn't know how, you know, because I feel like we never really learned how young Martin and Malcolm were, how young Tupac and Biggie were, John Lewis. All these people are in their 20s.
Kids.
You know, exactly. You know, just trying their best. The path wasn't paved. They were paving it as they were going, you know, and it feels like for us, people who, I view you as a leader, I feel like I'm following in your example. You know, it's like we're in this brave new world right now. And like we have a voice, we have a platform in a new way that they did not have in the past. So what are we doing with it? Yeah. And like when I look at you and I see these videos you release of your spoken word pieces, it just makes me feel so excited and invigorated for the future, man, because like you're only going to grow and grow and grow. And we're going to be looking at you as that next person who's going to like be marching, who's going to be leading the path for us, man. And like, I can't thank you enough for being an inspiration, a mentor to me, someone who I try to idealize and emulate every day, because I texted you after your one-man show and I was like, bro, like, I feel so inspired. I want to create right now. And that's what I'm trying to do, man. Like I'm making my own work for the first time, and it's because of people like you. So I just want to give you your flowers right now, man, because you are a giant, you know, and like, I'm excited to see what you manifest for yourself going forward, because like, you're a king, bro. Like for real.
That means a lot, brother. I'm over here trying to like be ultra cool right now.
Nah, I want you to cry, bro.
It goes against everything we just talked about. It goes against everything I just said. Thank you, thank you, brother. That really,
for real,
that really means a lot, man. Like,
and the thing is, right? I could talk to you all night, but we got this show.
We got a show,
you know. But we have to do this again. Oh, should we toast to something, bro?
It's your birthday to another year, man. Like to the revolution that is being Black and on this planet and breathing. You know, like to the revolution that is self-care. Like to all of that, to repairing ourselves as we receive these reparations from outside, to as we repair ourselves, the generational curses that we are breaking, like all of that. Like, I love you, Black man.
Love you too, man.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, bro.
No, we must do this again. This is not.
This
is. Yep, it's on.
For sure. All right, man. Well, we were supposed to go 10 minutes. We went 20. No, it's all good, bro. I mean, look. We gave the people what they wanted. They wanted to see Daniel J. Watts almost cry. I almost did it.
You got me.
Yeah,
I'm wrong.
All right, bro. So I'll text you and we'll make it happen again.
For sure, man. Have fun. Happy Reparation Day, everybody.
All right. Well, that was Daniel J. Watts, everybody. You could check him out back on Broadway when all of this is over, and we're going to keep the show pushing. So my next guest isn't really a guest, right? Because this man is like an icon. He's like on the Mount Rushmore of theater, right? He's one of those cool people who have a middle initial in their name. Give it up, everybody, for Kevin R. Free.
I'm cool because I have a middle initial. Well, that's not gonna make me cry, but I will take it as an intro. Thank you, Reynaldo. I want to get right to it. I finally met over the phone today Randi Berry, who is the executive director of the Indie Space Fund. I need to have Randi come out here right now so that you can correct me on what it's called. The Indie Space?
It's Indie Space
And
and
then-
the Indie Theater Fund.
That's what it is. Okay,
Yeah.
great. So Randi, thank you so much for donating your time to come to the Reparations show. I appreciate it. I'm so happy that we are finally seeing each other face to face via this flat screen.
Me too.
Tell us about Indie Space Fund.
Well,
Indie Space. Arr!
It's okay. That's one of the reasons we're merging, right? It's kind of confusing. They're so similar. But Indie Space and the Indie Theater Fund are two organizations that support indie theater makers trying to create work in the 5 boroughs of New York City, either with space and real estate advisory services and funding, grants, and professional development programming.
Very nice. So Indie Space, specifically, you're dealing with getting indie theater makers spaces so that they can make theater.
Yeah, that's the goal. And it's to help them handle the space that they might already have, or to, bring in new spaces into the community. So if an indie theater company is facing a real estate challenge or transition or an opportunity, we can step in and kind of offer free advice and consulting to help give them, the tools that they need in order to negotiate properly with the landlord and the real estate community in the city.
That's incredible. So you're giving them tools to negotiate. And and right now, because of COVID, negotiations can happen.
Yeah. I mean, in my mind, it's, if anything good can come out of this, well, there's a number of good things that can come out of this, but as far as real estate is concerned, maybe it's a moment for people to take on space at a lower cost and, plant their stake and plant their seeds and roots in real estate. Because as we know, real estate is a wealth generator for individuals, for companies, and there are folks in our community that have been systemically left out of those opportunities. So
you said magic words.
Yes.
You're leading me into my next question. So my next question to you is, I know that Indie Space and the Indie Theater Fund have plans for reparations in your mission statement. And I want you to tell everybody what those plans are.
Well, it hasn't been in our mission statement. It needs to be in our new merged organization's mission statement, but it has been living in our programming for quite some time. So the Indie Theater Fund only gives grants to artists for artist pay of underrepresented artists, and Indie Space is focused on creating new spaces for Black artists and people of color in the city. So for the fund, we've been talking a lot about creating a reparations program. We, right after George Floyd's murder, we gave 5 grants to 5 different Black-run theater companies just to create safe space for Black artists in the community without an application or anything. We just gave those grants. And I want to figure out how we can do more of that. And we're also talking about most of our giving through the Indie Theater Fund is through a lottery system. So my board and I have been talking about a weighted system. So, Black artists or other people of color, handicapped or disabled artists, or, LGBTQ artists, maybe getting an extra chit or 2 in the hat so that they have a higher chance of being pulled out of the hat for funding. And then, we've been working with a lot of different Black artists to create space. I think this is the perfect time. If there has ever been a time, why not now, right?
Yeah. Yes. And again, you have led me into my next question.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you're working with two friends of this show, Nidra Sulater and AJ Muhammad, on their new theater endeavor called The Grove.
Mm-hmm.
And Morgan, will you put that image up? Oh, it's already in the overlay. There it is.
Oh, awesome.
And this is Nidra and AJ's new theater company to create a Black off-Broadway theater space.
Yeah.
Super exciting to me. Can you talk a little bit about what you're doing with AJ and Nidra for The Grove?
I'm so happy to. I'm incredibly inspired by Nidra and AJ, and so thrilled that we're able to help them. So they came to us because Kelly Gerard actually introduced us.
Kelly Gerard of the Fire This Time Festival.
That's right.
Who in many ways gave me my start as a producer in the city.
Look at
2012 when I used to produce the Fire This Time Festival. Anyway, keep going.
Amazing. Yep. Fire This Time Festival was one of those companies that we gave a grant to at the beginning of this crisis. So we just started talking, and they were telling me this idea that's been ruminating for a long time. And I said, why the fuck not? Right now, let's do it right this second when funders are actually finally having conversations about what they should have been doing and what they can do. And so we've just been talking and thinking through the process of what this can look like. We've been talking about 501c3 status or fiscal sponsorship. We've been talking about for-profit organization versus not-for-profit organization, and really kind of thinking about what the basics, like the foundation, can look like, and also connecting to professionals, right? So one of the things Indie Space will do, I worked my day job in commercial real estate for a really long time, and I was rehearsing my shows in the vacant spaces of all the buildings we were selling. So I figured out a way to think about my day job. It was my survival. I'm a theater maker, so it was a way for me to make my day job less miserable. Yeah, absolutely miserable. And, if we were selling a building, I would rehearse in it for the 3 months that we were marketing the building. And we started thinking about okay, how can we do this with other people? So we created a database of real estate professionals that were kind of friendly towards me when I was doing that work, and were maybe open to offering their services to other theater makers for free. And so we'll start building a team around AJ. Around AJ and Nidra, and take it as it comes. I don't know. It's going to be an adventure. We'll see what happens.
That's so cool. So I talked to Nidra and AJ today, and they just started working with Fractured Atlas for fiscal sponsorship. So anyone who is watching the show, if you are interested in donating to The Grove, which is AJ and Nidra's venture, email us at thereparationshow@yahoo.com, and I will connect you to them so that you can give them all yo money, honey.
Yes, and it's an amazing idea. I mean, it's a necessary idea. It's a space for Black artists to be nurtured and developed all the way through, from the very first imagining of a show through production, and it's beautiful. It's a good idea.
In the same way that the Reparations show and much of the activism that happened in 1968, like the creation of the National Black Theater, it is a space for Black and Indigenous artists, but I think the Grove is specifically Black artists, to do what they want outside of the white gaze, to make work that is really about healing themselves and healing the community. And I think that is really great. Randi, I know that you have to go.
It's okay.
And I thank you so much for coming on the show, for donating your time, and for also donating to, and AJ is commenting, give us everything you owe. For giving of your time, and for giving this time to AJ and Nidra and all of the independent theater makers out there.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me. I appreciate. I'm the white lady today, so thanks for letting me be the white lady.
Listen, wherever you go, Randi, you are the white lady. I want
It's
you
true.
to know that is what you are to me.
Thanks. I'm so glad I could be the white lady for you.
You have a good night, and thank you so much.
You too.
Morgan, bring Reynaldo in here.
Oh snap! What's up, Kev?
I'm just leaving. I'm leaving. So I just wanted to say goodbye.
Wow.
No, listen. I want to say to you that conversation that you had with Daniel was incredible, and I also know his work, and I know your work, and to hear you two kings talking about what happens behind the work, like what your lives are like, it is a conversation that we all need to have. And one of my main problems with a lot of the work that I've been asked to do that I don't do anymore is that I don't get to be vulnerable. And I'm out here as vulnerable as fuck, right? And I just need to be able to share that vulnerability with the world. So I want to thank you for having that conversation with him. And I also want to thank you for coming on the show. And I also want to thank you for being an amazing human whom I have admired for a really long time.
Okay.
And so this is me giving your birthday flowers.
Okay, I was a little suspicious. I'm like, why are you being so nice to me?
Because I love you. What are you talking about? I'll text you some shady shit later, but right now I want to be really honest about who you are to me, or one of the reasons I'm so glad that we finally got to work together this year, is that when I came to New York 25 years ago this week.
Wow.
I know. I came here because I thought I was going to be a big musical comedy star, and then I was going to be just a huge star, and then, whatever. And while I believe that I'm a big star, I've always believed that, and I've always been waiting for other people to believe that. But when I came here, what I came to realize a few years ago is that I came here in search of fame, but what I realized that I actually wanted, and what I actually want to create, and think I do create to a certain extent, is community. And so I want to say to you that I am so appreciative that you are a part of my community, and that you have come on this show to bring your community to our show. So thank you. And I'm not going to cry. Pull me out of here, Morgan. I'm out.
No. Oh, wow. Okay.
What? No!
This is ridiculous now. What is going on? I feel like my show has been hijacked. I'm supposed to be the host. This is ridiculous. Well, if Kevin's not going to come back, I'll say some nice things about him because he's ridiculous. Nyla, one of our amazing producers, she said, you are absolutely a big bougie star. And if you know Kevin Arfrey, you know this man is incredibly bougie. This man can cook, go on his Instagram. He's always chefing it up. But I will say about Kevin, this man is the definition of a multi-hyphenate. He's someone who has not waited for people to give him opportunities. He is a writer, a director, an actor, and amazing at everything he does. And the fact that I get to share space with him means I'm incredibly lucky and privileged, because this man spreads joy everywhere he goes. Kevin is beloved for a reason. And if you, audience, are lucky one day to meet Kevin Arfrey, I guarantee your life will be better for it. So enough nice things about Kevin, because me and him have a love-hate relationship. So we're going to keep this show moving on. My next guest has a company that is talking about one of the most important issues affecting our world right now, which is climate change. We all know climate change is an existential crisis that will affect our lives for generations to come. And the company I speak of is Superhero Clubhouse, and one of their co-founders, Lani Fu. So, what? There she is. What's up? What's up? I mean, the last time I saw you, I think was at the Public, right after we closed.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. So for those of you who don't know, Lani and I did a show at Under the Radar called The Space Between the Letters. And it was, I feel like you can definitely pitch the show a lot better because you were involved from the very, very beginning.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I'll try. I don't know if it's gonna be better than you, but it's a show that deals with literacy, adult literacy in the United States, and how that is connected to a lot of injustices in our education system, in our voting systems, and how literacy has been used as a tool of oppression for a really long time in our country. And the show is kind of like a documentary theater style thing where it's trying to uncover some of that history and, empower people to really have a, have a voice in the issue.
Right, totally.
Yeah.
Because I feel like in school, we always learn that theater should be important. It should be about the present moment. And we both know so much of theater is not about that. But what I love about you is that all of your work is about the present moment and also about how we can empower each other to actually change the prison we're living through. So I know a little bit about your company, but for people out there who don't, can you just tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, for sure. So we're a theater company and we do a lot of different kinds of programs, make a lot of different kinds of art, and everything that we do is centered around how can we create environmental and climate justice in this world. That's pretty much it.
Totally. And I feel like you had some like photos or something to like showcase what you do, right?
I can show just more specifically. There's four different there's a couple different kinds of things that we do. I don't know if Morgan, you're there and you can help pull up. Yes, amazing. So one thing that we do is so we're an interdisciplinary company, which means that we're made up of not just, I'm trying to figure out this mirror thing. Where do I go? Okay, I got it. Oh, it went away. That's all right. I can keep talking. Okay. Yeah, we're not just artists. Our core members are made up of scientists, educators, activists, everyone, a lot of different kinds of people who are really passionate about environmental justice. And we make original performances with them for audiences of all ages, different kinds of performances, different contexts. And then Morgan, if you can move on. Yeah, we also teach eco playwriting programs for youth. Students learn about environmental justice, write their own plays, and then we produce their plays professionally. We have fellowship programs, which are kind of like residency programs for people to come in, get some money, get paid, and have time and space to work on their own original stuff around environmental justice. And we do a bunch of different kinds of workshops for the public that are free and open to all. That's it. Thank you, Morgan. That was amazing.
Morgan's killing it behind the scenes. Shout out to Morgan. But what I really found amazing about you is that climate change is an issue that is so important. And I think TCG released a stat saying in 2017, only 1% of the produced plays in America were about climate change.
Whoa.
Exactly, which is insane. So like the fact that you're like, listen, I'm going to start this company. We're going to go to the communities that are the most affected by these issues, make work for and with the people in those communities is like above and beyond 99% of our field. So like, can you talk about, for me, like what that like motivation was, like how you got the idea, and like what were the struggles in getting your company started?
Yeah, I should be clear that I didn't actually start Superhero Clubhouse.
Oh, what?
My co-director partner, Jeremy Picard, founded Superhero Clubhouse, and I jumped onto the ship 5 or 6 years ago. I don't know, time is not even real anymore, so I can't remember exactly, and then we started kind of driving it together from then on. But
oh wow.
I think that for me, I've always loved how impossible this topic is, and how incredibly complicated it is, and how there's so many different, when you start looking into one aspect of climate change or climate justice, you're like, oh wait, shit, it's connected to this thing, it's connected to that thing, it's connected to that thing, it's everything at once. And it always leads you to the place of like, our systems need to change, everything needs to change. Right. We need to change inside, outside, all around, right? And so I've always loved that, just that like challenge of it being so impossible, and also the fact that is what the challenge is I think makes theater such a great space to grapple with that, to confront it, because it's like theater is people coming together to make things, to build worlds, to learn how to be together, to change how to be together. And I think that is what we need. So I think they mirror each other really well. And that I've always really had a passion for these issues. And I've always had a passion for theater as an artist. And so I've just been like, this is the thing I want to do. This is the way I want to go.
Totally. And I feel like I want to share a personal struggle that I was going through early in the pandemic. Because for those of you who don't know, Lani is a rising, I'm going to forget the name of your title right now. You know, I'm trying to pick you up right now. Can you help me out? Can you throw me an alley-oop real quick?
Yeah, rising leader of color. And you're a Fox.
Exactly. I'm a Fox Foundation resident.
There you go.
Something. I don't know. Thank you, TCG. We love you.
Thank you, TCG.
But why I bring this up is because we had this this moment to like catch up and check in with each other, and I was like in a really bad place. It was like right after George Floyd was murdered. There was so much happening in the world, and suddenly I felt like what I do for a living felt so unimportant. Like honestly, you know. So for someone like me who feels helpless against this avalanche of climate catastrophe, what is like one step I could take to like help get the ball moving forward in a good way?
Meet your neighbors.
Okay. Can you go deeper? Okay.
Yes. I'll elaborate. So I think that I think that with climate change, there's so much that's already happening. There's so much that's already playing out all around the world and all around New York City, that there's a certain extent of crisis that we can't really avoid in terms of the physical stuff that's going to happen to us. Right. And so I think we need to think about resilience, and we need to think about adaptation, and what does that look like? And I think a lot of the time when people talk about resilience, they talk about infrastructure, like let's build a wall, let's do this thing, let's create a whatever, to soak up the floodwater. And I think all that stuff is important, and we should figure out how to make stuff like that happen. But I feel like a lot of the time people don't talk about community resilience. They don't talk about the relationships that they have with the people around them, because that is what's going to get you through when something hits, when there's a disaster, when your power goes out. You're going to need someone to know that you're there and to care about you. And so I actually think that community resilience and being more aware of our interdependence as humans is like the most basic fundamental step you can take.
I love that so much, because I grew up in East New York, Brooklyn, and that's a community that historically has been so neglected. Like certain parts of my neighborhood don't even have a sewage system, so like every time it rains, it floods. Some of the lowest points in terms of sea level in Brooklyn are in East New York. So when we think about the crisis moving forward, these are the neighborhoods that are going to be impacted by climate change the most. So can you tell me a little bit about like going into these communities, into these schools, and like educating these kids about these problems and like what that experience is like?
Yeah, I think it's hard. It's hard because I don't know if it's the first time they've heard it, and probably not, and probably they know it because they live it. But it's really hard to be the person who says, hey, your community, these communities, Black and brown communities in New York City, are more vulnerable, are treated with less respect, are given fewer resources. That's just the reality of it. And it's really hard to say those things, but I know that they know, and I know that it's not like, new knowledge. It's just like, it's hard to be the one reaffirming that. But I think that ultimately the goal is to go from that reality, from that knowledge, to a more empowering place of like, well, what do you like? How do we take care of each other then? How do you use your voice, your imagination, your creativity, your power to change that, to really like take care of your community, take care of this place and each other? And I think I won't lie that I don't know, it's hard.
No, totally. And I mean, for me, growing up in New York City public schools, we never had people like you coming in to empower us, to tell us like, hey, this is a problem and you're the ones who can fix it. So I think that's really amazing that you're doing that. And have you encountered any struggles in this new virtual age with like schools or online? Like, what has that transition been like?
It's been really hard. I got to be honest. I think that our schools, our school system is really messed up in a lot of ways, and I think that what you would expect in your head to happen happens, where it's students who have fewer resources, students who have less access to things fall off the map a little bit, and it's really hard for not only teaching artists that I know to keep connection and to keep things going, but for teachers, for their teachers, for their principals, for families to like keep it going. I don't know. I'm feeling a little bit I don't know. I feel like there's a struggle. There's a real struggle with this whole virtual school thing that's happening in New York City right now, where a lot of kids are not getting what they need.
Yeah, because so much of it is the social interaction, and like how you build that community in person. I know that's really important to your work, is actually being able to like, have human interaction face to face. I know we're short on time, so I just want to make sure that people out there can find out more information about Superhero Clubhouse. Where can they find out info? Oh, on the bottom of their screen right there. Look at that. Morgan and Nyla coming in clutch.
Oh, thanks, Nyla.
And Joe. Shout out to Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, totally. So IG, I assume Superhero Clubhouse has a website as well.
It is. It's just that.org.
Cool. And if someone out there is like, I just want to get involved in some way, like how is there opportunities to get involved?
Absolutely. Yeah. Reach out. It's pandemic times, so there's weird stuff going on right now, but please reach out. We love to connect. We think of ourselves as a community and like our community led. So please reach out.
For sure. Well, happy birthday to your niece.
Thank you. Thank you.
How old is she turning?
6.
Wow. No. Okay. Wow. Good time. Sorry. I just had like a flashback to first grade.
I know.
Totally. Well, I'm going to let you go. We'll talk soon. Hopefully we can work together again in the future.
I know.
And tell Jeremy I said what's up.
Yeah, agreed, Reynaldo. Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's been awesome. It's always a pleasure to talk to you because you're such a passionate artist, and I wish everyone was like you in the world. I feel like it'd be a better place.
Thank you. Well, I'll make sure to host this show again since everyone just wants to give me compliments. So I really appreciate that. All right, Lani. See you.
All right.
All right. So that was amazing, right? So how do you top that? Well, I don't know if I can top it, but my next guest is pretty bomb. Now, Kimberly Chatterjee. You may know her from her work across the country at the Guthrie Theater, at the Hudson Valley Shakespeare Festival. She's been in New York at Primary Stages. I saw her in March during the lockdown, the early days of the lockdown on High Maintenance, right? But with all that amazing work, I think the most impactful work Kimberly is doing right now is with the organization Be an Arts Hero. Let's see a little video about what they're about.
The arts and entertainment industry in the United States is not only a vital part of our culture,
but it's also an indispensable part of our economy.
Arts and entertainment in the U.S. is responsible for $877.8 billion in value added to the economy.
The CARES Act dispersed $50 billion in relief to just 10 airlines.
The arts and entertainment sector added $265 billion more to the economy than the entire transportation sector combined. The arts deserve proportionate relief.
Of the more than 26 million people on unemployment in the U.S. right now, over 3.1 million of them worked in arts and entertainment.
94% report income loss, with 62% fully unemployed.
Over 12,000 arts institutions report they may never be able to reopen.
Without relief for these arts workers and institutions, the industry they uphold will collapse, along with a vibrant ecosystem of businesses that rely on arts and culture institutions for their success.
The loss of work in the arts and culture industry directly affects jobs and revenue for the food, hospitality, transportation, and tourism industries.
The only thing that was keeping millions of people in their homes and their bills paid was the federal pandemic unemployment program. It expired on July 25th.
Without pandemic unemployment assistance, spending in essential business sectors will decrease, causing those businesses to have to cut jobs. This ripple effect is estimated to cause the permanent loss of an additional 5.1 million jobs over the next year.
Extending FPUC would provide an average quarterly boost of 3.7% to the GDP and keep people afloat until the COVID crisis has passed. 75% of registered voters agree with maintaining or increasing UI benefits.
We can't wait to get back to work, but until then, we need the Senate's help to survive.
We need to extend and expand PUA.
Here's how to get involved.
Write your senators, call your senators, at your senators, engage local press. There are links to resources in the description of this video.
And you can learn more at these websites, extendpua.org and beanartshero.com.
Oh, snap. It's the program manager of BNR's Hero. What's up, Kimberly?
Oh, my God.
Admired Miranda.
Oh, stop.
All right.
Like a million years ago.
Exactly. So, I do this with everybody. So I know Kimberly because Kimberly was the Miranda to my Ferdinand in The Tempest at the Classical Theater of Harlem, which starred pre-Emmy winner Ron Cephas Jones. Totally absurd, crazy. I think 5 years ago now.
I think 5 years ago.
Oh, Lord. Oh, man. Yeah, Kimberly just posted on her Instagram story. You should go follow her first. But on her Instagram story, she posted a pic of us from that show, and I'm making the most ridiculous face. I'm like,
and I'm like fake crying in not even in the light. Yeah, it's good.
Totally,
it's really
exactly.
Good.
So we've come a long way. Started from the bottom. Now we're here. What's up? What's new with you? I know that's such a broad question, but I don't even know where to begin.
I know. Is not much a dumb answer. It feels like not much. My life has been, I live in Astoria, but I'm at my sister's house in Oregon. I left in June, so I've been here since then. Wow. So my life has pretty much been BNR Hero stuff, and then Actors Equity Delegate stuff. Since I've been here, we had the horrific wildfires in Oregon.
Right.
5,000 homes destroyed. So that's been pretty wild. But just maybe I was thinking about that during the last segment on climate justice and climate change, and the things that we feared, they're here already. So we have to do stuff about it. I'm talking a lot, but that's
great. That's why I asked you to come. I'm like, Kimberly's going to talk a lot. I get to just sit back. I get to drink my tea because I drink all my wine already.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be great. Yeah, it's all right.
Right.
But I love how you just brush past the fact that you're an equity delegate now. You're like, I won an election, but it's whatever.
Well, it's so. This whole show tonight has been so incredible, and it's amazing how the universe will bring people or moments together in ways that you don't expect. And I feel like everybody tonight has just talked about things that have been so resonant. But community. One of the things that makes this moment in time so difficult for everyone is the lack of community, or the idea that being in your community could actually endanger them because of COVID,
Right.
So what I thought of that, because now that I am a delegate, what I find so incredible about it is that it's just another community within Actors Equity.
Right.
People as soon as I decided to run, every day I would text my friends and be like, I should drop out. This was a terrible idea, because there's this idea that there's always somebody who knows more, and there's always somebody who's smarter, and there's always somebody who's better. So we should just let those people do it. And now that I'm doing it, it's yes, that's still true. But also there's 211 delegates and counselors who are going to this national convention. So if I'm not up to speed on everything, I can learn. I have some time because somebody else is going to be on it. And same with BNR Hero. It's if it were a group of 10 of us, I'd feel different, but it's this huge, beautiful community all working together to try to make stuff change.
Right. Well, you keep underselling yourself because you chose to be an equity representative during probably the worst crisis our theater industry has ever faced. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like this is a great transition into your work with BNR Hero. because like you, I was someone who like suddenly lost their livelihood, didn't know what to do. The politicians weren't really fighting for us.
No.
So like, can you talk about like how you joined Be an Arts Hero and like what you actually do as a project manager?
Yeah. So I joined in a roundabout way. One of my dear friends was working on this video campaign going state by state and getting sort of economic data for each state of how much the arts contribute. And she was looking for some help to edit the videos because she was going to do all 50 by herself. And she still did like 42 of them by herself. And so I edited a few of those. And then I just reached out and said, hey, can I help with other things? I'd like to help. My sister works in the for the governor of Oregon in early childhood education and policy making. So as I started to help out more, she was like, okay, format it like this, or make the mission statement like that, or this person's going to have this much time. And so I got a really great insight into how quickly and how difficult this government stuff can be. And so I sort of got looped in that way. I started off with one project in July, and then like here I am in October.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, what's so insane to me all the time is that when I go to these other cities to work, right, in red states, right, there's always the theater, but then there's the restaurants. There's all the businesses that profit from the business of the theater. And I'm like, literally, we drive economies, you know, so much of New York, like, is shuttered because the theater is shuttered, you know, and the ripple effect of that with the restaurant industry, the hospitality industry, all these other fields, right? So like, what has that been like to actually like be talking to these senators, these Congress people, like how frustrating, I assume it's frustrating.
Well, actually, so my job as a project manager is to find all the data for each state that we're meeting with, or if it's like a representative for Congress, to find the specific district.
Right.
And the incredible thing, I mean, it's actually really frustrating on one hand, but really empowering to see just how much money we drive. And there isn't a single state in the US where arts and culture doesn't contribute at least $1 billion, at least.
Yeah.
That's in the tiny states. That's in the states with the small population, at least $1 billion. And because I'm looking at the numbers all day long, I also see the articles. Like there was just an article about restaurants that might close in Rhode Island because Trinity Rep is closed.
Oh, wow.
The Loop, which is a district in the Loop is a district in Chicago, within Chicago, where like 13, I think, $1 million are generated for restaurants. I mean, it's just so all that to say, when I sit in on these meetings, the kind of incredible thing is that because we're a nonpartisan, national grassroots nonpartisan group, we meet with both parties. We're open to anyone who wants to help. The number of people that are blown away, the number of offices that had no idea were such. Really? And so it's kind of insane. The number, and it's not just red states, blue states as well, being like, oh, I really had no idea that you guys contribute so much money. They think, I don't know if they think film and TV, they think movie stars. And obviously film and TV contributes a ton in a ton of places, but it's also museums. It's also, you know, opera houses and ballet. It's dance studios that kids roll in because they want to be a ballerina in Dallas, you know, like it's so much and everything is interconnected. And so our argument, which we can back up with these incredible numbers, is the economy cannot recover without an arts recovery.
Exactly. No, for real. Totally. Yeah. I feel like I watch the news. I get most of my news from Twitter these days, honestly. And I feel like so many of the headlines are negative, pessimistic. So can you talk about some of the positive strides that you've made already?
Yes. So this was literally started by a group of 4 people who like got together and said, we want to do stuff. And then people like me got roped in and we started writing cold emails and people started responding. And now we're a group of about 60 volunteers. None of us gets paid anything. But so from this incredible community that's come out, we have created our own legislation called DAWN, the DAWN Act, Defend Arts Workers Now. We are still in the process of writing the bill, but it's a bill that will get introduced in the Senate and in the House that will provide dedicated arts relief for arts workers. So not just institutions, but the actual people that make up those institutions. And the kind of incredible thing that's been happening, we're asking for $43.85 billion. That's 5% of what we contribute. That's 5% of that $877 billion. That's what the airlines got in their first bill or bailout. So people were telling us at the beginning that we'll be laughed out of the room, and we have not been laughed out of the room. We have had people be like, tell us where you got that number. And then we do. And they say, oh. So as much as the sting of feeling sort of abandoned by our government is not one that's going to fade easily. Right. But the conversations that we're actually having in these meetings, because these numbers don't lie. And I really think that the problem maybe has been historically is that we go from the emotional angle of what arts and culture mean to humanity. We know how important it is to humanity. Nobody actually wants to live in a world where you can't listen to music and you can't read books and you can't watch Netflix. But fine, people don't want to say that, whatever. But to just say, this is the money we're giving you. And if you don't help us, we will not exist to give you more money.
Right.
And that argument is working.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
I mean, I have so many questions now. I mean, just because, we all know the election's in a few days. And for me, I'm voting blue, as you know, even though my shirt is pink. And I'm like, a part of me is like, well, we'll get a relief package if Biden gets elected, right? But your argument is saying like, no, it actually makes bipartisan sense that I don't even want to put it out in the universe. Something else happens, it still makes sense for McConnell, whoever's in a red state to be like, you know what, we're going to give money to Actors Theater Louisville. We're going to give money to these places so that they can recover. Our businesses will, and the ripple effect of that,
Yeah.
Totally. So I come across this, and I wonder if you do. My family is always like, well, you're an actor. Why are you talking about politics? The same way that they tell LeBron to shut up and dribble. So like, have you encountered any of that resistance of like, you're just an actor? What do you know about this?
I think I will say that probably when this group was first created, and I wasn't there at the very, very beginning.
Okay.
But when people at the very, very beginning were reaching out to certain media outlets, certain unions, and I'm not just talking about Actors Equity, just like unions in general, being like, hey, let's meet, let's talk, let's get a strategy going. People saw the two actors that created this and were like, sounds awesome what you're working on. But I'm not, because you're like two actors that got a group of friends together and said, we're going to create policy.
Right.
But so far, again, I don't know if it's the way that we're spinning these conversations. I will say that people are surprised. And underneath that surprise is that sort of assumption that it's like, oh, you're just like, you're a screenwriter and you're an actor and you're all doing this for free and you're lobbying Congress. I think people probably find it a little bit odd.
Sure. But I love that so much because I think we're both aware of like, whatever happens next week is just the beginning, know, being an activist, marching, all of that has to continue. So to me, I'm like, I look at your organization, Be an Arts Hero, and I'm like, well, if and when you pass the Dawn Act, right, then I think the next step is to keep going, to fight for, now.
Yeah, we have dreams. We have like grand dreams of having chapters in every state, having it be like an organization that not a union that can provide benefits, but that, we're a 501c4, which is a social welfare group. The only difference between a 501c3 and us is that 501c3s can't lobby and our job is to lobby. So we're like, we can't do that. But we want to be the advocates on the Hill and the advocates in this country that for some reason, the United States just never has been able to have for arts and culture. We're starting with this. We're thinking of the Dawn Act as like step one in the grand plan of being advocates for arts and culture in this country for the foreseeable.
Totally. Yeah, because I think about, post COVID, we're going to need that stimulus to get the economy going. And like you pump money into the arts, everything else, that ripple effect is going to be truly real.
Yeah.
So let's say you're a person who's not an artist, but you want to support. What can you do to help your organization?
You can write senators and congresspeople, not just your senators, and email and call and tweet. We also are taking donations because we would like to be able to one day pay some of our volunteers. Our co-founders are probably working like 16 to 20-hour days, 6 to 7 days a week. And we're all doing it for free. And we'll keep doing it, but it would be nice. And if there's anyone out there that you thought hearing about this makes you think about, the ballet studio where your kid took dance class, or that museum across the street, and they, just reach out to us with any ideas, any thoughts. We're around. I'm glued to this seat in my little room at this computer working all day. So we just want to hear from people. We just want to hear from people about how this has affected you and how we can help.
Totally. And if they wanted to donate, they can do that at your website? Okay, which is beanartshero. Oh, there it is. Look at the producers coming through in the clutch once again. We love to see it. Well, Kimberly, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to come out here to tell us about the work you're doing. First, I want to thank you so much for doing it, because you're working for free right now. You're advocating for millions and maybe billions of people right now who are starved, not only for culture, but are worried about what their future holds, because everything they've trained to do, they can't perform in front of an audience right now, and you're fighting to make their dreams come true once again. So big ups to you. Truly, I can't thank you enough. I can't wait until we can work together again.
I know.
It's long overdue. Come on, it's been 5 years. Like, what's up? We'll talk about plays. We'll talk to Ty Jones at CTH. We'll make this happen.
Please.
For sure. Well, I know you're glued to that chair, so I'm going to let you sit there some more. And we're going to wrap this show up.
Great. Thank you for having me. This has been incredible.
For sure. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
All right, everybody. Well, I said I give you 3 amazing people, and these people were so amazing. I don't even know what to say now. So I'm going to say this. Next week, we got one of the most consequential elections we've ever had as a country, right? And we need you to make your voice heard. Early voting is going on around the country. So please, if you can, stand online and cast your vote. Now, if you are planning to vote by mail, please, at this point, drop your ballot off in person, because we want to make sure that your vote counts, because there are plenty of politicians out there who are fighting tooth and nail to silence our voices, and we can't let that happen. So thank you once again for coming out to the Reparations show. I'm going to go and watch the British Baking Show, but please stay in touch. Follow me at Reynaldo Ray on Instagram and Twitter, and be safe. Peace.